A thought that you're thinking on repeat is a belief you're telling yourself. And there's evidence for that belief because you keep choosing to believe that, right?
Welcome everybody to this week's episode of It Takes Grit with me, Rebecca Louise, and our incredible guest today, Joy Harrington. She is from a very different, unique background that we are going to share with you today. She's been through some crazy stuff over the last couple of years, but she has managed to go from zero, listen to this guys, 0 to 6 figures in 6 months. She's a mom of 2, she's beautiful, she's amazing, she's got incredible content online, and we got connected a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just so excited and blessed to have you on the show. Joy, welcome!
Oh, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I feel like this is going to be an extension of our hour chat that we had on the last night that we got to be together. We literally spent there for an hour immersed into each other's eyes, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this is what was going on in your life. So I'm excited for everybody to hear all of the chats that we were talking about, what we had on that Thursday night. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I think your mind was a little bit blown going through everything. You were like, who even are you?
Yes. Well, it started off 2 nights before being mind blown by one story. And then 2 days later that she throws this other curveball at me. And I'm like, okay, you need to hear this story. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through, Joy's story, her background, something that's been going on in her marriage as well, which, is just a really important thing to talk about. But we're also going to go through is why your background doesn't matter. The first steps to starting your side hustle, your business, attracting wealth into your life. I love it, talking about money and doubling your story views with this one thing. You do not want to miss this, everybody. And most importantly, using your feminine energy, which I, for one, need help with because I'm definitely more masculine in my business. So let's get started. First of all, Joy, where are you from and what was your life growing up like a child?
Oh, I'm like, where to even begin? But I'm actually originally from Maryland, so the East Coast. I'm one of 9 kids. My dad was a pastor, and a pastor not just of a normal church, is extreme religion. I call it a cult. So it was very fundamentalist, very rigid, very legalist. I was homeschooled, of course, because you don't want to send your kids to school; they'll get corrupted. And grew up doing music at church, grew up doing all the church things, life literally revolved around church. And so, of course, I grew up thinking women just get married and have babies. That's what they do. And so I put all my focus on that. I was a good student. We moved when I was 15. We moved to Colorado for a church plant. And at the same time, my parents decided simultaneously to throw me into public school. So I went from being homeschooled and just this church kid to being thrown into public school at 15 as a sophomore. And that was kind of a culture shock for sure. But got through high school and was like, you know what, I'll try college. But we had always been taught, don't take on a lot of debt, especially as women, because if you're just going to be raising kids the rest of your life and not using your degree, what's the point? So I started to go to college, realized I didn't love it, didn't love the surroundings I was in, the settings I was in. Probably had something to do with the fact that I was still heavily involved in the church group up there, and there was a lot of drama with that. I don't like drama. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to work odd jobs and work off my debt and just wait to get married and let a man save my life. And so I literally did that. I went from job to job to job. I was the chronic job hopper. I did Starbucks and I did pediatric dentistry and I did orthodontia and I worked at a bank and you name it, I've done it. I even worked in the cornfield helping to pollinate corn to produce different kinds of corn seeds. Yes, I've done everything that there is. And then I got married to my husband when I was 25, and he's one of 11 children. He was also raised in extreme religion, although curious enough, not the same. So both sides didn't approve of the other and the other's religion, which is kind of hilarious. So we were the rebels that got married, even though no one approved. And I still continued some odd jobs for a while until having children. And then it wasn't really till we had children that I stopped working. I never, ever saw myself as an entrepreneur, never thought I was smart enough. My husband was an entrepreneur, but I was like, no, 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 like I could never do that. That's not for me. But I did see people doing the influencer thing online. And I was like, well, heck, it's all these moms that are home with their kids, being an influencer, getting paid, being given brand deals, making all this money just for being on the platform. Like, I'm on the platform. Why not like make money? So I started a blog and I started like being like, well, I'm going to be an influencer. And I would go buy clothes and do like my own little homemade photo shoots and like try to produce this blog. And my husband's like, so right now you're spending money on this, but when's it going to make you money? And I was like, oh man, it's not. And we were tight. We were super tight financially. So the blog had to die. Well, it didn't die, but long story short, that's right before I found network marketing. I was doing the influencer blogger thing.
Mm-hmm. And then that was really the turning point for you when you were like, okay, this is actually, they already have the products for me. I just get to be the influencer and sell the products that I love.
Yeah. But before that, we went through our marriage story. We went through my personal rock bottom in my life. So I had been playing with the blog thing, and then we were 5 years into our marriage. I had my second child, realized the blog was really hard to manage with a toddler and a newborn. And then 5 months into having two kids and dealing with postpartum depression, found out that my husband had had a pornography addiction that had led to him acting outside of our marriage and infidelity and things like that. And I was completely shattered. Like, I had seen some red flags. I knew he had struggled with porn, but I didn't expect it to be to this depth. And I didn't expect everything else that was going on. And so I literally was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know who you are. All I've been up until this point is a wife and a mom. And now I might not be. So, like, who the fuck am I? Hope I can curse on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through a really rough 9 months of grieving, literally on the couch, suicidal, depressed, hopeless, being like, what is my life even going to be? We managed to stay together because he decided to get help. I gave him 30 days originally to start following a plan and getting help. I was basically like, give me 30 days to not file for divorce because we had two kids. And I looked at them and I thought, I have to be able to tell them in 18 years that I did everything possible, right? When they ask what happened, I have to, as their mom, say I did everything possible. So I gave him 30 days and he started to do the things. And so we were working through recovery and dealing with addiction, and it's very specific, right? Recovery is, and it's specific steps, and we both got into support groups and things like that. But it was after about 9 months of being on the couch and feeling totally like everything had been ripped away from me that I finally got to this breaking point and this aha moment where I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, he could do everything possible to change, and he could literally move heaven and earth, but I still won't be happy because of me. Like, I realized I got to this point where I was like, I'm the one that can make myself happy or not.
Wow.
And like, me laying here on the couch every day isn't making me happy. So that's when I really decided to do network marketing. It's actually kind of crazy because I was like, it's time to start growing. It's time to start making myself uncomfortable every single day. And I saw these people putting themselves out there online with network marketing. And I was attracted to the community that they had. I was attracted to the friendships that they had. I felt really alone, really isolated. And I wanted to get back in shape after having my second child. And I was like, this would give me a vehicle to start making money right now, which is what my blog didn't have before. So I was like, hey, tell me about the business. I was one of those people that messaged my coach and was like, tell me about this business. And she was like, what?
Never happens.
I know. So I like to say, no one invited me to the business opportunity. I invited myself. And I started doing it. And I fell in love because it made me get up every single day with a new purpose. And in fact, it caused me to start getting up every single day with a new routine. I actually started getting up. I actually started setting an alarm. I actually started practicing gratitude. I started reading personal development. I started working out every day and moving my body, right? I started eating really well and focusing on water. And now I had something to focus on that I wanted to build that was like positive. And every day putting myself out there online with other people and conversations was so uncomfortable and so good because it made me start feeling things again. It made me start growing. It made me start having to realize, like, oh my gosh, you're stronger than you thought you were. Oh my gosh, you can actually do these things that you didn't think that you could do. And so it began to build my confidence. So this consistency was showing up and then seeing people respond, and then people actually bought. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was like this ripple effect of confidence building for me. And so it's so funny when people tell me today, like, you seem so confident, I'm so intimidated by you. I'm always shocked by that, because going through our story, I should be like the least confident person there is. And I really think, like, I freaking built that. Like, I built that back after our story. And it was all because of consistency and showing up every single day in new, scary ways.
And you decided that it was your responsibility and your choice of your happiness. It wasn't like, okay, who's going to make me happy? And I feel like we search for that all the time. Well, I'll be happy when this person does this, or I'll be happy when so and so makes this move, or when they do this for me. But it's like, if you know that deep down that your happiness can come from exactly how you are as a person, and your being and your action and your movement and your passion and your mission, that's where the real change can happen, and where you can have sustainable happiness forever.
Yeah, well, I think I really had a gift, because I had this moment of laying on the couch and I was like, okay, fast forward your life in 40 years. I did this for myself. And I was like, if you continue to feel this way and show up as this person in 40 years, what does your life look like? And I realized that I'd be this angry, bitter victim, and my kids would hate me because all I would harp on is like what a victim I was, right? We all don't like those people. We don't want to be around them. I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have any friends. And I was like, Joy, you're literally going to be like this miser at home, like with no one and nothing in your life. And I was like, I refuse to lose my children over this situation. I refuse to lose myself over the situation. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with the marriage, but I will be damned if I lose my kids and myself and have that kind of a life. And so it was this huge gift, really, because most people don't think about that. Like, what's the trajectory that you're on right now? What will that life actually really be? Like, get really honest about it. What will that life be in 40 years?
I love the word trajectory. And I only started using it in 2021 when I went and had a meeting with somebody who's super successful. And they were like, don't compare yourself to somebody else right now. Like, compare yourself to their trajectory. Like, where can you see somebody going? And so I think often we get caught up in the like, oh, I'm comparing myself to this person like right now. I'm comparing myself. But like, what does your trajectory look like? That's what you get excited about. And when I can see like different people that I'm hanging around with and I'm associating myself or I'm just around, I'm like, wow, this person has a crazy trajectory. They might not be where they want to be right now, which by the way, nobody ever is, but where they're freaking going, I want to hang around this person. So you don't have to have it all figured out right now, but knowing your trajectory, like exactly what you said, is like, that's the most important part of it.
Ooh, I love that perspective. I'm going to start using that now with other people. Observing their trajectory. Do I want to hang around them because of their trajectory?
Yeah, let me just check out your trajectory. I'm just going to figure that out right now. So what would you say to someone who says, well, you know, my background is this, or I don't have this? You know, a lot of people say, well, I can't do things because of my background. I'm always like, background does not matter. And for you, you've had a crazy background going through things within your marriage that the average person probably doesn't experience, because I also want to point out the only person that you've ever been with is your husband.
Yeah. Yes. He was the first person I dated.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
first person that you kiss, like the first everything, right?
Yeah.
So one, you've got that's in your head too, but how do you work with someone who is kind of blaming their past for the reason why they can't do what they want to do right now? Because there's always something that somebody said to somebody or an experience that has given us the disbelief that we can do something in life. So how can we make sure that people know that your background does not matter?
It's all about what you want to believe, because a thought that you think repeatedly is a belief. And this goes into a lot of the reprogramming of your mindset that I do with people. But literally, a thought that you're thinking on repeat is a belief you're telling yourself. And there's evidence for that belief because you keep choosing to believe that, right? You have evidence. You can look at your past and have evidence for that. Is there someone else out there that has something similar or maybe even the same? and they've decided to pick a new belief and now they have evidence in their life for something new, yes, they do. We know that. There's 7 billion people on the planet. Like, you're not the only person that's been through this. So it's never a question of are you right or wrong? It's what belief do you want to believe? Does that belief feel good to you? Is that belief serving you and where you would like to go and the person you would like to be and the life you would like to build? And asking yourself that question will change how you look at something. Like, you could continue to hold on to this and find evidence for that belief. What if you decided you wanted a new belief, and how could you look for evidence to support that new belief?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our beliefs become our things. Like if you start to tell yourself that you're incredible, you're amazing, you've got this, like it will happen. But the more times that you tell yourself that something's not possible, then you're just reinforcing that belief. All right. So when you first got started with your side hustle, your network marketing, you're just like, okay, now I'm ready. Like, what were you doing? Were you posting on Instagram? Were you reaching out to friends? Like, what did your family think? Because you're one of 9 and you said that you grew up just everybody just gets married and have kids. So what are they thinking about network marketing?
Well, they definitely thought network marketing was scammy. I came from like that kind of background where they're like, oh, those people, right? Like those people. So to be honest, a lot of them didn't like say anything, but not one person supported me. Not one person in my family bought from me. Let's just put it that way when I was getting started. And eventually I did have a sister be like, you're embarrassing me. But that was like months down the road. And she had this whole like, I'm disowning you situation over my network marketing business, which was super interesting. But what was I doing? Yes, I was absolutely showing up online. I had been showing up online for the most part, before that. I liked being online. And so I decided to follow what my coach was telling me to do, literally. So I was posting because she was telling me to post, and I was doing lives because she told me to do lives, and I was sending DMs because she told me to send DMs. I was extremely coachable. So I did that. And I mean, I was new, right? Everybody's new to it when they get started. And I made a lot of mistakes and it was very messy. And I had wins, right? In the first month, I think like 4 people signed up with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually just made money doing this online. I didn't go anywhere. Like, this is amazing. And so I fell in love with realizing that I could produce income from home, just being on a platform.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about that sister. Is that sister okay with what you do now? How's that relationship?
Yeah, we don't really have much of a relationship at this point in time. But we did mend things. It's not because of that. She did come back around. We had a conversation, which was good, and we worked through some things. There was hurt on her side. There was hurt on my side. Usually hurting people hurt people, right? Um, but we're not really friends at this point, only because we've gone such different directions, right? So there's really no common ground there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you first get starting in a new, people buy a house and everybody congratulates you and they're like, woohoo, you just took out a $300,000 loan. Well done. But you start a network marketing company for less than $100 and everyone's like, whoa, are you sure about this? Like, are you going to be okay? You're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to make money. I'm not getting myself into debt. Like,
Oh, totally.
it's so crazy. And talking about attracting wealth into your life, it's something that I've kind of started talking with my team about, but like having that open conversation about money and being someone who attracts it and not being scared of it. I think especially me, like I grew up like you don't really talk about money. If I ever really discussed it with my dad, like it would make him feel really uncomfortable. And so when we say like money is good to me, money comes to me, like how do you talk to yourself or talk to the universe about money, and why is it important to do that?
Well, and it's so interesting you talk about this because I grew up with religion thrown on top of it. So it was like money is an idol. And like, no, you don't go after money. You only serve the church. And like most of my family doesn't really make very much money at all, right? Very blue collar, right? And so I had this whole mind bender to get over the fact of like, can I be a good person? Can I be loved by God and love money? Because I was always told like, the love of money is the root of all evil. Like you shouldn't love money. And like, So there was this whole like rewiring process that I've had to do, and realizing that money is neutral and money is a resource, and that it's kind of funny, but when we have this issue of like, ooh, don't talk about money and don't go after money, we're still idolizing money. Like we're still putting it up on this pedestal and making it this big thing, when it's something that, ooh, you shouldn't have and you shouldn't go after, and like blah, 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 blah. You're still making it an idol, which is what ultimately God doesn't want you to do, right? So like, how is that any better than someone that's like, ooh, I only want money? It's not. It's pretty much the same thing. You're both making it this big issue. And so realizing that money doesn't have to be a big issue in your life, and that it can be a resource, a tool that you use, not that drives your life. And so many people base their decisions on like, ooh, do I have the money? And do I have this? And they don't realize that they're giving all their power away and letting money drive the show, rather than recognizing like, you're the one that drives the show, right? You get to make the decisions, and then money can respond to you. But money's always responding to you and the person that you are and the energy that you have.
So do you say any mantras to yourself about welcoming money in? Is there anything that you like to do to attract that? Share with us. What can we do?
Oh, I love affirmations. I love money mantras, money affirmations. Even my kids walk around and they're like, I am wealthy. And I'm like, that's right. And it's so funny. You're going to laugh at me. My friend's daughter goes to school with my daughter, and they're 5, right? They're in like preschool. And the mom goes, did you teach Scarlett something about being a wealthy woman? She's like, because Quinn came home talking about being a wealthy woman, and she said that she learned it from Scarlett. And I was like, yes, I did. I was so proud, because I was teaching her about what being a wealthy woman means and how we can feel that in our bodies energetically. So yes, affirmations, mantras, constantly reading books. If you haven't read the book, A Happy Pocket Full of Money, it is one of the best. It talks about quantum physics, and that's huge for manifesting money and attracting money to you.
Amazing. I'm going to write that one down for sure. It's funny because, when good people have money, we get to do good things with it. And it's like, you go back to that religion. It's like, don't want money, but you also want to be able to bring money in for the church. So what's wrong with actually making loads of money so that you could give it to your church? Like, that to me would make more sense to be like, yes, go out and hustle so we can bring more money into the church. So we can help more people.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they think that if you're out hustling, then you're not here serving God. Right. So it's like, it's a this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't it be both?
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, let's choose our beliefs here. And my belief is, no, I get to have it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're a mom of 2. So you really do. You've got it all right now. You've got it all coming together for you. So one of the things that I was stalking your Instagram, and you said that you can double your story views with this one thing. What is this one thing that you're doing?
This is one of the best tips that I learned, and I shared it and people had awesome results. They loved it. So, okay, it's super easy. You're going to take a 24-hour break on your stories, which is good. You should take a day off. So don't post anything for 20 to 24 hours. And then after that, you're going to post one story that has an interactive element. So either a poll or having them tell you something or comment on something, right? But make it interactive. And then don't post anything else for probably 12-ish hours. So you're going to give it a break, 20 to 24 hours. You're going to post one story with something interactive. Then you're going to wait about 12 hours. And then you can post something else and then space them out about 4 hours after that, 4 hours after that, 4 hours after that. But it just gives people time to reset. It gives your Instagram time to reset, and things that are going on with the algorithm right now. The algorithm's getting weird because they're making it personal now to everyone's account. So it's not like one thing that will work for everyone. I don't know if you know that. But the way that they're showing stories to people is not based on the most recent story per se. It's based on who you watch the most and their most recently posted story. So you might have missed, if you hadn't been keeping up with them, you might have missed what they've posted because you're only going to see their most recent. So if you're giving it a break, like I'm telling you to, you're going to get more eyes on your story. So, wow. And then when your people are interacting with it, they're going to show it to more people.
Got it. All right. I'm going to test it out. And you've already had some people that's getting great results from that too.
Yes. They were all messaging me.
That's so exciting. I love it. I love a good Instagram hack. And this will probably work, everybody, for about 6 months. And then it's going to be something different.
Totally.
So tapping back into business, using your feminine energy. This is something that I've really been working on because I can be very masculine in my business. I take it into my relationship, but you have just this beautiful feminine, soft energy about you. And like, how do you work on that energy to really utilize it for your business? Because as women, it's powerful when we're in that feminine, when we're in that understanding of one another. But how do you know that you're in your feminine energy? What do you teach people to make sure that they're feeling centered?
I literally just did a feminine energy challenge. So it's so funny you're talking about this. But really quickly, for those who might not know, I'm going to give a word picture to just describe what feminine and masculine energy is. Because some people are like, what the heck even is that? So if you picture a river with a river bank, the bank that holds the river together is masculine. So it's very structured, it's strong, it's firm, it's boundaries. And the river that's flowing is the feminine. So it can be wild in some places, it can be soft in some places, it's going to be tossed about, right? So feminine energy is very led by intuition, it's very creative. It's definitely in her feelings, right? Which a lot of people like to avoid or dim down. But actually, the river doesn't care, right? When it's like wild and raging and then soft, you need all of it. But if the feminine that's flowing didn't have the river bank, it would literally, the water would spread everywhere and it would dissipate and lose its power. The reason a river is powerful is because it's actually held in, it's held together by the masculine. So as women, you actually need both. You need masculine and feminine. You need to have enough structure and boundaries to give yourself room to be creative, to flow, to feel your feelings, to follow your intuition. So when I know that I'm in my feminine is when I'm leading with my intuition, when I'm leading with my gut, when I'm actually honoring what I actually fucking want.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, I'm just going to make this happen and I can hustle it out and I can use grit and anything else to like make it happen. That's very masculine. And instead, when I'm being honest and going, I don't actually fucking want to do this. I actually think I want to do this instead. And following my desire, following my feelings, following my intuition, that's more feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to business, I like to take time every single day to sit in my feelings, to sit with my intuition, to say, what am I feeling? What doesn't feel good to me in my business right now? What feels heavy or light? And why? Right? And what do I need to do about that? Usually, if it feels heavy, you're probably using masculine and it's probably not, no longer should be in your life. If it feels light, good, keep it. But just sitting with myself and asking, what do I feel called to do? What do I feel led to do? What do I no longer feel led to do? And using your feelings, which when I say feelings, I don't necessarily mean emotions. Some people confuse the two and they get caught in their emotions, which then keeps them from showing up because they don't feel like it. They feel sad, they feel this, they feel that. Emotions are important. We do want to feel them, but following your emotions will be confusing. When I say feelings, I'm talking about your gut. I'm talking about like that little, ooh, I think maybe I should try this thought that comes to you. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. Right? Like immediately try to talk yourself out of it. Those are feelings.
Mm. I think that's so key because so often we're like, oh, well, I don't feel like I want to do it today. And it's like, you still need to show up and still need to do it. If inside of you, you're like, I really want this end goal. It's like feeling that you know that this is something that you want and showing up and utilizing that.
And that's healthy balance of masculine and knowing when do you need to actually push a little bit and when do you need to stop and give yourself a break.
Yeah.
And it's a constant balance. We're never going to have it perfect.
Oh yeah, I feel like my brain is like, oh, I'm gonna rest now. No, I need to go. Now I need to rest. I'm feeling good. Rest. Now I need to go. Like I'm still figuring it all out, and I don't think that even by the end we'll have everything figured out.
No.
And what are you most excited about for this year? What is Joy just like ready to explode and have fun with?
Leading my business with my feelings, leading my business from a place of what do I want to do instead of what do I have to do or what do I think I have to do or what should I produce.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think before I always focused on the what was it the speaker at our mastermind said, like focus on the why before the what and the how, right?
Yeah.
And I think before I was focused on the what and the how, because I'll get an idea and be like, okay, what and how? Like I'll make this thing happen, right? Goal. And then I never stop and ask myself, why? why do you even want to do this? Do you want to do this? Right? Like, why are you doing this? So this year, that's what I'm super focused on. And I'm super focused on building wealth with my husband, and super focused on and excited for new levels for our relationship. We've been working really, really hard on our relationship for the last year, and he's completely changed and I've completely changed, and we're in a really beautiful place, and I'm really excited for that.
That's so incredible. And the funny thing is you never really know what's going on in someone's life. So when Joy and I were sat down at dinner and I'd heard their story about their past, but not their marriage past, and he was like super attentive, like, and I looked at you guys, I was like, oh, these guys have got this. It's all figured out. She's so lucky because like, I would love for my partner to be here. Peter's standing at the front of the room, like he's doing, like, he was like the person, right? And then I turned around, I was like, oh my goodness. I remember I said to you, has he always been this like this? And you're like, whoa, you're like, no. I was like, what? And then you told me all of this stuff and you were like, we literally got back together like a week ago.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe it. And that's such an important thing that we look at. We got these people got everything all together. You look at other people, you compare, and you're just like, you don't really know half the shit that's even going on. So like, you blew my mind. I was like, hang on a second, like, because he was like bringing you drinks and like chatting to you and like just being super attentive. And I was like, I like this guy. This guy's great. Let's keep hold of him.
You know, it's so funny that you said that to me. Has he always been like this? I texted that to our marriage coach. I was like, Steph, you need to have a good laugh. And he totally laughed with me. He was like, that's awesome, because he's been working with us for a year now, because the work didn't end. Like, we got through recovery and we got through survival. And then it's really hard to get out of survival mode and go to thriving, which is like growing together. And now what are we building together? Like, we have all this past that we've overcome, but we had to get to an active, like, building phase. And we got a little bit stuck where I felt like I was trying and I was growing and I was working with a coach and he wasn't. And so finally he started working on himself, and we hit a couple of breaking points where I was like, look, you're either doing this with me or like, you're not. And he finally was like, you know what? I'm all in, and I'm all in for myself for the first time instead of like for you. And that's like what changed everything.
Oh my goodness. I'm super excited for you guys. Oh, love it. All right. So where can everybody find you on all of the social media platforms, all the things?
Well, I'm mostly on Instagram, and it's joyharrington.ig. That's Harrington with an A. And then I have a podcast, Level Up Babe.
Yeah.
So if you want to check it out.
Yeah, well, I'm going to make sure that all of your details for your podcast, your Instagrams, all going to be in the description. So make sure that you go give Joy some love. Like, she's really poured her heart out today, really shared with us some personal things. So just go and give her some love, go give her a follow, and check out her amazing Instagram. She's got some funny reels on there as well that I really enjoyed watching you. So thank you so much, Joy, for being on our show. We are super appreciative of your time. Guys, make sure that you go give us a review. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of It Takes Grit. My name's Louise, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you.